Kelly Oubre is quietly dominating the league. After being in the NBA for some time now, I thought we basically knew what kind of player Kelly Oubre was. Just a pretty decent level starter or a really good player coming off the bench. But so far early on into this season, Kelly has really taken his game to the next level and is clearly playing the best basketball of his career. But quickly, before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm Juicy Sports, I make opinionated NBA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. I also want to quickly mention that I recently started up an MMA channel, and if you guys are interested in that, the link will be in the description. But anyways, let's get into it. Kelly Oubre has been a very interesting player in the NBA. In my opinion, I feel as if Kelly has all the talent in the world. He's an extremely talented offensive player that has the capability of scoring from all three levels pretty decently as well, while also at the same time having great athleticism, great size, and great wingspan. He also has the capability to play pretty good defense at times as well, and overall, I just feel like he should be a much better player than he has shown throughout his NBA career thus far. And there has been a couple seasons in the past where Kelly really played good basketball, like for example in 2018 with the Phoenix Suns, 2019 with the Suns as well, and even 2020 with the Warriors. But besides those seasons, and even in some of those seasons, it just seemed like Kelly wasn't all that consistent, and I think that's his biggest issue. There's certain games where Kelly can absolutely go off, look amazing out there, shoot great from that three-point range, shoot amazing from the mid-range, and drive to the basket and score at will. But then the very next game, he can look absolutely atrocious. So I certainly feel as if that consistency is Kelly's biggest issue. And consistency is a huge issue for a bunch of different players in the NBA, especially players who are very talented and just aren't necessarily as good as they should be. But it seems like early on into the season, although it has been somewhat of a small sample size, Kelly has by far been playing the best basketball of his career. On the season, Kelly's averaging around 21 points per game on 43% shooting from the field, 5.2 rebounds on 1.2 assists. Now those numbers are obviously phenomenal, and those numbers would suggest a very high level starting guy, and certainly Kelly has been that thus far with the Hornets, but in my opinion, I feel as if he's even playing a little bit better than those numbers would suggest. This season, Kelly's doing a tremendous job at playing within himself and just playing his own game. When you watch Kelly play out there this season, of course the one thing that you notice is he is getting a bigger opportunity, he's getting more shots this season than he did in years past, he's getting the ball more of course, but another thing that you would notice is Kelly's doing a much better job at staying under control and just finding his own shots. Now there still are some times where Kelly forces up some shots, specifically from that three-point range, but overall I would say he's doing a much better job this season with shot selection than he did in the past. And there's a bunch of different examples out there of players who didn't necessarily shoot all that well, either from that three-point range or just in general, but once they figured out that shot selection and took much better shots, their percentages started to go up obviously. I think a perfect example of this is LaMelo Ball. Coming into the NBA, LaMelo was only shooting around 19% from deep, absolutely atrocious. But when you watch LaMelo out there, it was pretty clear that he was a pretty decent three-point shooter at the very least, and maybe even a good three-point shooter. So many people expected those numbers to go up significantly once he started to take better shots, and in the NBA under better coaching that probably would have came to fruition. And so far in the NBA, of course LaMelo still takes those crazy dumb shots, but I would say he's taking much better shots overall than he was at any point in his career in the past. And due to that, we saw his statistics jump significantly from that three-point range as compared to what he was before. So that same kind of thing is coming into play with Kelly Oubre. I just think he's putting up more points because he looks a lot more relaxed out there and he's just taking better shots overall. Now another obvious reason that I somewhat touched upon before is that increased opportunity. Not only is he getting more minutes with the Hornets than he ever did in the past, excluding that one season in 2019, he's also getting a lot more shots off, and of course that's going to help you score more. And sometimes a criticism that's coming up when a player is putting up much more points than he ever did in the past, but he's also getting much more shots off, is some fans may say he's putting up empty stats. That he's putting up better numbers than he ever did in his career, yeah, but he's not necessarily necessarily helping his team win. It's taking him more shots to do so, and he's just not being all that efficient out there. But in my opinion, as I slightly touched upon before, I think Kelly is playing pretty efficiently out there, and I certainly think he's helping his team win. So although that argument is certainly valid for some other players, I don't necessarily think it's valid in Kelly Oubre's case. But now the question is, do I think Kelly Oubre could continue to keep up this level of play throughout the rest of the regular season and maybe even in the playoffs if the Hornets make it there, or do I not think so? Well, in my opinion, I feel as if Kelly's going to have the best season of his career this year. Now, whether or not that means he'll stay at this current level that he's at right now will remain to be seen, but I do think Kelly will have the best season of his career. I just think he looks a lot more composed out there. I think he's gaining a ton of confidence based on his early success, and I do think that's going to have a carryover effect to the rest of the season at the bare minimum. Now, with LaMelo Ball coming back, of course there's going to be some less shots available for Kelly Oubre going forward for the rest of the season, but in my opinion, I don't think it's going to have as big of an effect as a lot of people think. I think Kelly is still going to get a ton of opportunities out there and a ton of chances to continue to play at the very high level he's been playing thus far, and maybe even a little bit better. And I also think with the return of LaMelo Ball, due to the fact that he's such a great passer and playmaker, and in my opinion he's one of the best young players at that, I think that's going to have a huge beneficial effect on Kelly as well. He's going to have the opportunity to get a lot more easy shots out there, either driving all the way to the basket, cutting back door for easy dunks or layups, or just finding him for wide open 3-point jump shots. And of course, the more open shots you get, the more efficient you're going to be out there most likely. So I do think that's going to have a major beneficial effect on Kelly's game throughout the rest of the season. So overall, I would say I am somewhat confident that Kelly would be able to keep up this level of play for the most part throughout the regular season. Now, if his numbers dip down to around 18 points per game or 19 points per game, I wouldn't necessarily say he's fallen off or dropped off at all. I would say that's basically at the point where he's at now. If his numbers go up by the end of the season, then of course that would be even better, and he would be having an incredible year. But going forward long term, I think it's going to be much more difficult to keep up this level of play that he has been doing this season. I think Kelly's extremely talented, as I mentioned before, but he hasn't really shown this ability throughout his whole NBA career. And although it is nice that he has been showing it this season, I don't know if I'm necessarily all that confident that he would be able to hold this throughout the rest of his career for the most part. That's something that I feel as if it's a wait and see. I need to see a bigger sample size to have more confidence in Kelly throughout the most part of the rest of his career. But certainly the way Kelly has been playing this season is extremely encouraging, and really the way he has been playing over the past 3 or 4 seasons has certainly been a nice improvement from what he was previously. And I think from the Hornets perspective, with the return of LaMelo Ball alongside with how well Kelly's playing is going to have a real beneficial effect on the rest of their season. Now of course, early on into the year, the Hornets have been awful. They've been just about the worst team in the NBA, but I do think the return of LaMelo is going to turn them into a much better team than they've been. Now will they make the playoffs? Probably not. They're not going to have that much of a turnaround, but I think they could play much better overall. But I guess only time will tell what does end up happening, not only with Kelly Oubre, but also with the Charlotte Hornets. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Kelly Oubre is going to be able to play at this level of play throughout the rest of the regular season, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these 2 videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out guys.